Hello everybody, welcome back for another tutorial. Today I'm going to be designing this floppy disk, and as you can see this is a sketch that I created of a floppy disk, and I did this on my iPad Pro and Procreate. Um, so from the looks of things, it looks like it's going to be a pretty simple design. This floppy disk is made up of mostly rectangular shapes, so we're going to be drawing a lot of squares today. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started by drawing one big rectangular looking square, and I'm going to chip this corner a little bit by adding a point and a point there. And now I'm going to grab my pen tool with the delete arrow, and I'm going to get rid of this corner point right here just to add a little bit of a niche in there. So now I kind of want to round these corners on the bottom. So with the direct selection tool, I'm going to click on both of these points, and I'm going to come up to the the corner radius input box, and I'm just going to give it a 30 pixel radius. So I'm gonna now draw another rectangle inside, and I want to make sure that this is all centered, so I'm going to draw a guide in the very center, and I'm going to make sure that this is aligned. So I'm viewing in outline mode right now, and I did that by pressing Command Y, and I'm going to, now that it's centered, I'm going to get out of outline mode by pressing Command Y again. So now we have an inner rectangle. I want to round these corners again. So another method to round the corners is to select your shape with the direct selection tool and pull on these little levers on each corner. I don't know if you were able to see that, but these little pulleys are a nice way of rounding the corners. Pretty easy to do. So now I'm going to get my pen tool, and I'm just going to draw a straight line straight across like so. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to duplicate this line by holding Option and Shift and dragging down. And I want to duplicate this same exact thing, this move again. So I'm going to hit Command or Control D as in dog. And there we go. So I want to make these lines a little bit smaller so that these can kind of indicate someone, like a label for the floppy disk. And I'm going to make them a little bit smaller in length. So I'm just holding Option and pulling in from the outside. And now I kind of want to center everything, so I'm just shifting it up a tiny bit to about right there. There we go. We've got our labels. Okay, so now I kind of want to add this portion of the floppy. So I'm going to do that by drawing some more guides. And one horizontal guide. Now I'm just going to add points. So with the pen tool, with the add anchor point, I'm just going to add anchor points all around here, like so. I'm just clicking where the intersection is, and then adding two more inside. So with with the points that I added inside, I can now drag down to the bottom intersection and there we have it. Alright, so now I need to add this shape right here, and I'm going to do that by just using the pen tool and clicking around like so. There's a number of ways you can do this. I'm just going with the pen tool method for now. So I can get rid of these guides. I don't really need them anymore. They're kind of in the way, so I'm going to just get rid of those real quick. And now I'm going to add a line here to extend all the way down. Again, just using the pen tool for this and clicking and another click. And I'm also holding shift while I do that to get a perfectly straight line. Alright. Now I can just draw another rectangle right here. So I have my rectangle tool. I press M on the keyboard and I'm clicking and dragging. There we go. So now we have our outlines. Let's go ahead and add some fill color. And I'm going to do that. I'm just going to copy this outer shape for my outlines and paste it onto my colors layer. And I'm going to give it a dark gray swatch color. And now I'm just going to come in here and draw some more rectangles. So let's give this for now, I'm just going to go with a purple fill. Make sure that that's sitting underneath the outline, nice around the corners even. You don't have to. Okay, and then I'm going to give this, make a white rectangle here. All right. And I'm going to add another rectangular fill, which is going to be kind of like a lighter silver color here. And I just did that by drawing another rectangle. Go figure. And I think something like that looks all right. Now I want this rectangle to have the same dark background, the dark gray background as the floppy disk shape. So I need to actually subtract some of this silver color. And I'm going to do that by just copying this shape from my lines layer. And I'm going to paste it in place by pressing Command or Control F. And I'm going to switch the stroke to a fill. And now I need to just subtract this. So by selecting the outer shape and this inner shape and heading over to my Pathfinder tool and selecting divide, I can now get rid of this little piece. And there we have it. We have fill. So now the fun part is adding some shading. And it's not going to be too complex, but I'm going to grab the fill color of the floppy disk from my colors layer and paste it in place on my shading layer, Command F or Control F. And just so I can see the difference, I'm going to change the color. And now I'm going to duplicate this, Command C, Command F. And I'm going to swap the color once more. I'm going to shift it about 30 pixels to the right. So now I'm going to make sure both of these are selected. And I'm going to come over here to my Pathfinder tool and click divide. So now I can get rid of some of these pieces that I don't need. And I have some shading. I did post a step-by-step on how to do that, so if you need to see it in slower motion, please go look at my Instagram account. It should be one of my more recent posts. But that's one of my quickest techniques for adding shading to my designs. Alright. So now I want this area to be a little darker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a rectangle, switch the fill color to my dark purple maroonish looking color, and I'm going to drop the opacity down to about 50%. And I'm going to do the same thing for this area over here, just to add a little bit of depth. There we go. And I want to add one more sliver of shade right here. So with the eyedropper tool, I can just click on one of my other shading pieces and apply the same styling to this one. So this is coming along pretty nice right now. I think the only thing left to do is maybe add some shading to this silver segment. I want this to be a lighter color too, so this is going to be a white with a opacity of around, let's go with 30%. And again, a lot of that was just drawing rectangles, guys. This is a very simple design with simple shapes, and it's turning out pretty nice actually. So I think the next thing I want to do is add some glare to this floppy. So I'm going to actually create a new layer, and I'm going to draw more rectangles. This time this is going to be a pretty large rectangle that is kind of thick. And I'm going to draw another, or duplicate this rectangle, but I want to make this one a lot thinner. Something like that. And now I need to slant this quite a bit. So with my direct selection tool, I'm going to only select the top points, and with the arrow key on the keyboard, the right arrow key, I'm just going to hold it down and make sure this is shifted quite a bit. I usually just kind of eyeball this. There's not really a value that I have in mind. I'm just going with what I think looks right. So I'm going to shift it over a little bit. And with both of these pieces selected, I'm going to hold Option on the keyboard. I'm going to hold Shift as well, and I'm going to drag to the right. So this is duplicating the pieces. And I want to, oops, didn't duplicate. There we go. And I want to replicate that once more. So I'm going to hit Command or Control D again, and there we go. So I need to get rid of some of these overlaps. So I'm going to head over to my colors layer, and I'm going to select some of the shapes here, and I'm going to paste it in back. So I can do that by coming up to Edit, Paste in Back, or hit Command B on the keyboard. And I'm going to change that fill color. So we're getting closer. I'm going to select everything here with my selection tool and come over to the Pathfinder panel and select divide. So I'm going to ungroup everything and get rid of these pieces that I don't need. So now I want to get rid of all the pink inside here, but I don't want to click on every single one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on a single pink shape, and I'm going to come to select same fill color, and I'm just going to delete. And there's more that I need to get rid of here. See, I don't want the glare to be inside here. I don't want it inside here either. And I don't want it on this label. So what I need to do now is grab some shapes. So I'm going to grab some of these shapes from my shading layer, paste it in back, and change the color. And now I'm going to come to my lines layer and grab some more shapes. Paste in back and change the fill color. There we go. So I'm going to repeat what I did moments ago. I'm going to select everything, and from the Pathfinder tool, I'm going to select divide. I'm going to ungroup, and then I'm going to get rid of all the green pieces now. So you can do that by going to the select menu, same fill color, and just delete. And now we can get rid of these inner pieces that we don't want. So now that we have our glare, I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to change the fill color to white, and I'm going to drop the opacity down to around 20%. Let's go 15. And I'm going to actually bring this over to my shading layer. So there we go. We've got a little bit of a glare. And I might play with the opacity a little bit here. I think it might still be a little too bright. So I'm going to bring that from 15 down to 10. And that looks a little better. So the next thing I need to do is add a background color on my background layer, and I'm going to press M on the keyboard, and I'm going to type in the width of my artboard, which is 1080, and the height of my artboard, which is 1080 as well. And I'm going to change the color to be yellow, and I'm going to align it to the left side of the artboard and to the top of the artboard. And there we have it. That basically wraps it up. I'm trying to think if we need to add anything else. And I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. So I'm going to leave it as is. But that's how you design a floppy disk. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments or shoot me a message on Instagram. I respond to everybody, so please ask away. I'm here to help and would love to see if my methods work for you. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.